Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Bhishma's Passing Away, Shlok 46. Tasya nirharanadini samaptaretasya bhargava yudhishthiraha karyatva muhurta dukkhito tat bhavata. O descendant of Bhrigu Shaunaka, after performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhishma Deva, Maharaj Yudhishthir was momentarily overtaken with grief. Bhishma Deva was not only a great family head of Maharaj Yudhishthira, but also he was a great philosopher and friend of him, his brothers and his mother. Since Maharaj Pandu, the father of the 5 brothers, headed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, died, Bhishma Deva was the most affectionate grandfather of the Pandavas and caretaker of the widow daughter-in-law Kunti Devi. Although Maharaj Dhritarashtra, the elder uncle of Maharaj Yudhishthira, was there to look after them, his affection was more on the side of his 100 sons headed by Duryodhana. Ultimately, a colossal clique was fabricated to deprive the 5 fatherless brothers of the rightful claim of the kingdom of Hastinapura. There was great intrigue common in imperial palaces, and the 5 brothers were exiled into the wilderness. But Bhishma Deva was always a sincerely sympathetic well-wisher, grandfather, friend and philosopher to Maharaj Yudhishthira. Even up to the last moment of his life, he died very happily by seeing Maharaj Yudhishthira to the throne. Otherwise, he would have long ago quitted his material body. Instead of suffering agony over the undue sufferings of the Pandavas, he was simply waiting for the opportune moment, because he was sure and certain that the sons of Pandu would come out victorious in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, as his lordship Shri Krishna was their protector. As a devotee of the Lord, he knew that the Lord's devotee cannot be vanquished at any rate. Maharaj Yudhishthira was quite aware of all these good wishes of Bhishma Deva, and therefore he must have been feeling the great separation. He was sorry for the separation of a great soul and not for the material body which Bhishma Deva reclined. The funeral ceremony was a necessary duty, although Bhishma Deva was a liberated soul. Since Bhishma Deva was without issue, the eldest grandson, namely Maharaj Yudhishthira, was the rightful person to perform this ceremony. It was a great boon to Bhishma Deva that an equally great son of the family undertook the last rites of a great man. Shlok 47. Tushtu munayo rishta krishnam tad guyanamabhihi tattaste krishna hridayaha swashramana prayayuhu punaha. All the great sages then glorified the Lord Shri Krishna, who was present there, by confidential Vedic hymns. Then all of them returned to their respective hermitages, bearing always Lord Krishna within their hearts. The devotees of the Lord are always in the heart of the Lord, and the Lord is always in the heart of the devotees. That is the sweet relation between the Lord and his devotees. Due to unalloyed love and devotion for the Lord, the devotees always see him within themselves, and the Lord also although he has nothing to do and nothing to aspire to, is always busy in attending to the welfare of his devotees. For the ordinary living beings, the law of nature is there for all actions and reactions, but he is always anxious to put his devotees on the right path. The devotees are therefore under the direct care of the Lord, and the Lord also voluntarily puts himself under the care of his devotees only. So all the sages headed by Vyasadeva were devotees of the Lord, and therefore they chanted the Vedic hymns after the funeral ceremony just to please the Lord, who was present there personally. All the Vedic hymns are chanted to please Lord Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. All the Vedas, Upanishads, Vedanta, etc., are seeking Him only, and all hymns are for glorifying Him only. The sages therefore perform the exact act suitable for the purpose, and they happily departed for their respective hermitages. Shlok 48. ततो युधिष्ठिरो गत्वा सह कृष्णो गजाह वयं पितरं सांत्वयामास गांधारी च tapasvinim. Thereafter, Maharaj Yudhishthira at once went to his capital Hastinapura, accompanied by Lord Shri Krishna, and there he consoled his uncle and aunt Gandhari, who was an ascetic. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, the father and the mother of Duryodhana, and his brothers were the elder uncle and aunt of Maharaj Yudhishthira. After the battle of Kurukshetra, the celebrated couple, having lost all their sons and grandsons, were under the care of Maharaj Yudhishthira. They were passing their days in great agony over such heavy loss of life, and were practically living the life of ascetic. The death news of Bhishma Deva, uncle of Dhritarashtra, was another great shock for the king and the queen, and therefore they required solace from Maharaj Yudhishthira. Maharaj Yudhishthira was conscious of his duty, and he at once hurried to the spot with Lord Krishna and satisfied the bereaved Dhritarashtra with kind words both from himself and the Lord also. Gandhari was a powerful ascetic, although she was living the life of a faithful wife and a kind mother. It is said that Gandhari also voluntarily closed her eyes because of the blindness of her husband. A wife's duty is to follow the husband 100%, and Gandhari was so true to her husband that she followed him even in his perpetual blindness. Therefore, in her actions, she was a great ascetic. Besides that, the shock which she suffered because of the wholesale killing of her 100 sons and her grandsons also was certainly too much for a woman, but she suffered all this just like an ascetic. Gandhari, although a woman, is no less than Bhishma Deva in character. They are both remarkable personalities in the Mahabharata. Shlok 49. Pitra cha anumato Raja Vasudevanumoditaha Chakar Rajyam Dharmena Pitrupaitamaham Vibhuha. After this, the great religious king Maharaj Yudhishthira executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to the codes and royal principles which were approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Shri Krishna. Maharaj Yudhishthira was not a mere tax collector. He was always conscious of his duty as a king, which is no less than that of a father or spiritual master. The king is to see to the welfare of the citizens from all angles of social, political, economic, and spiritual upliftment. The king must know that human life is meant for liberating the encaged soul from the bondage of material conditions, and therefore his duty is to see that the citizens are properly looked after to attain this highest stage of perfection. Maharaj Yudhishthira followed this principle strictly, as it will be seen from the next chapter. Not only did he follow the principles, but he also got approval from his old uncle who was experienced in political affairs, and that was also confirmed by Lord Krishna, the speaker of the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Maharaj Yudhishthira is the ideal monarch and monarchy under a trained king like Maharaj Yudhishthira is by far the most superior form of government, superior to modern republics or governments of the people by the people. The mass of people, especially in this age of Kali, are all born Sudras, basically low born, ill trained, unfortunate, and badly associated. Therefore, they themselves do not know the highest perfection aim of life. Therefore, votes cast by them actually have no value, and thus persons elected by such irresponsible votes cannot be responsible representatives like Maharaj Yudhishthira. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the first canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Passing Away of Bhishma Deva in the Presence of Lord Krishna.